What is going on, guys? While most NFL teams are comfortable with their current quarterback situations, there are several signal callers who are fighting for a lot in 2020. Whether it's for their legacy, reputation, career-changing contracts, or long-term starting jobs, these 10 starting quarterbacks have the most to prove heading into the 2020 season. Number 10, Lamar Jackson. It feels very strange to put the reigning league MVP on this list, but please hear us out. Few quarterbacks in recent memory have dazzled as much over their first 2 years as Jackson. He's won 19 of 22 starts, with 42 touchdown passes against only 9 interceptions to go along with a whopping 1,901 rushing yards and 12 touchdowns. And oh yeah, he won the MVP award in 2019 after guiding Baltimore to an NFL best 14-2 record, having led the Ravens to back-to-back AFC North Division titles. Jackson shouldn't have much to prove, right? Well, except for the fact that he's been extremely lackluster in his first 2 postseason outings, both resulting in brutally ugly losses. A year after the Ravens fell to the superior Los Angeles Chargers in the 2018 wildcard round, Jackson and company were embarrassed by the Tennessee Titans in the 2019 divisional round by a final score of 28-12. Over his first 2 playoff games, Jackson threw 3 interceptions and completed a lowly 51.1% of his passes while taking a whopping 11 sacks. Jackson is a regular season performer, no doubt, but is he going to have that whole can't win the big one label hanging over him in 2020 and beyond? Or can Jackson silence the doubters by taking the Ravens on a deep playoff run? He's got a lot to prove, no doubt. Number 9, Teddy Bridgewater. Drew Brees' thumb injury made Teddy Bridgewater a very rich man, that's to say the least. With Brees sidelined for 5 games, Bridgewater strapped into the starting role and was near perfect. He won all 5 starts, completing 67.9% of his passes for 1,384 yards and 9 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, unable to afford all 3 of their quarterbacks, in Brees, Taysom Hill, and Bridgewater. The Saints let the latter walk in free agency. Bridgewater then inked a 3-year, $63 million contract with the NFC South rival Carolina Panthers. Now, Bridgewater is still a bit of an enigma. He helped the Minnesota Vikings win the NFC North in 2015, but an ACL forced him to miss 2016 and practically all of 2017. He looked like a superstar with the Saints in 2019, but that was a small sample size. And of course, many believe that Bridgewater was simply a product of Sean Payton's system. While the Panthers are paying Bridgewater to be a legitimate starting quarterback, he has no shortage of reliable weapons around him, including an elite running back in Christian McCaffrey, and wideouts DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, and Robbie Anderson. All the pieces are in place for Bridgewater to succeed with offensive guru and rookie head coach Matt Rule. Now is the time for Bridgewater to show he can be a reliable full-time starter. Number 8, Ben Roethlisberger. Feels weird putting a 2-time Super Bowl champion and Hall of Fame quarterback on the list, and yet here we are. Roethlisberger suffered a season-ending elbow injury against the Seattle Seahawks in Week 2. But even before the injury, Ben and the Steelers' offense looked sloppy and sluggish. Oh, and we can't forget the Steelers' embarrassing drama-filled collapse in 2018, when they looked primed for a deep postseason run, only to blow it down the stretch. Thanks to a ferocious and nasty defense, however, the Steelers salvaged an 8-8 season in 2019, despite lackluster play from backup QBs Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges. With Big Ben back in the fold, the Steelers undoubtedly expect to compete for a playoff berth again in 2020. Roethlisberger is signed through the 2021 season, and despite his age and injury woes, the front office has put all their faith in him. They didn't find any suitable backups whatsoever. No Andy Dalton, no Jameis Winston, no Marcus Mariota, no Cam Newton. Many have already written off Roethlisberger, believing he's not capable of bouncing back from a serious elbow injury at the age of 38. It's up to him to silence the doubters by showing there's plenty of football left in that Hall of Fame arm. Number 7, Sam Darnold. This isn't necessarily a do-or-die season for the third-year quarterback, but the number 3 pick from the 2018 draft must show some form of improvement in 2020. Otherwise, he could force the Jets to recommence their search for a true franchise quarterback. After an okay rookie year, Darnold experienced a largely disappointing sophomore season. He missed 3 games early on due to mono, and then he returned for that Monday night debacle, where he was seeing ghosts against the New England Patriots. After losing 4 of his 5 starts in 2019, Darnold began to turn it around slowly. He won 6 of his final 8 games, although most of these wins came against losing teams. Beating bad teams is not enough. The Jets drafted Darnold to be a superstar. With an 11-15 starting record, with 36 touchdowns against 28 interceptions is hardly spectacular. Worse yet for Darnold, the Jets haven't given him many weapons to work with. Overpaying for Le'Veon Bell hardly counts. Letting Robbie Anderson walk was a head-scratching move, and if rookie Denzel Mims can make much of an impact, Darnold's going to be in some serious trouble. Also, no offense to head coach Adam Gase, but he certainly doesn't look like like the quarterback guru that many have hyped him up to be. Gase was supposed to help Darnold turn a corner in 2019. That didn't happen. And if it's much of the same for Darnold and the Jets in 2020, it might be time to start labeling the former USC quarterback as a big-time draft bust. Number 6, Dwayne Haskins. The Washington Redskins drafted Haskins 15th overall in 2018. That was when Bruce Allen was leading the front office, and when Jay Gruden was head coach. It's a different era with Ron Rivera now. The fact that Washington traded for Kyle Allen, whom Rivera coached in Carolina, greatly suggests that the new resume isn't fully set on Haskins as their quarterback. At any rate, Washington's starting job is still Haskins to lose, but don't be surprised if he's on a short leash. Haskins failed to impress in his rookie year, losing 5 of 7 starts, with 7 touchdowns against 7 interceptions. So what happens if Haskins struggles mightily in 2020? Or if Allen finishes the season as the starter? Well, Washington could easily cut his losses and look to find a new quarterback in the stacked 2021 draft class. That sounds crazy and all, but just look what the Arizona Cardinals did with Josh Rosen. If Rivera doesn't think Haskins is the answer, he won't be afraid to move on from the Ohio State product. Haskins, dare we say, is really fighting for his job as a sophomore heading into 2020. Number 5, Tom Brady. Why in the world is a 6-time Super Bowl champion and 3-time MVP on our list? What does Tom Brady have to prove? Well, just consider the fact that TB12 had this to say in the Players Tribune after he signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Right now, though I have things to prove to myself, the only way is through. If I don't go for it, I'll never know what I could have accomplished. Wanting to do something is different from actually doing it. If I stood at the bottom of a mountain and told myself I could scale the highest peak, but then didn't do anything about it, what's the point of that? And even if he won't outright admit it, you know Brady wants to stick it to Bill Belichick. He wants to prove that he was more responsible for the dynasty, and that he simply wasn't a product of playing for the greatest coach in history. Oh, and Brady is entering his age 43 season on a fresh 2-year, $50 million contract. Could you imagine if he flopped mightily with his new team? That could hurt his legacy a bit, like the final season of Game of Thrones. And it would make Belichick look all the more genius for letting his franchise quarterback leave. Tommy Terrific has accomplished just about everything a football player can dream of, and yet he still has a lot to prove at this phase of his career. Show the world what you can do without Belichick, Tom. We're all waiting to see. Don't be Game of Thrones. Number 4, Jared Goff. After guiding the Los Angeles Rams to a Super Bowl 53 appearance, Goff was awarded a mega 4-year contract extension worth $134 million. It seemed reasonable at the time, with Goff coming off a second consecutive postseason appearance. But things quickly came crashing down in 2019, although it wasn't entirely Goff's fault. Todd Gurley's knee injuries predictably led to a disappointing season. The offensive line was dreadful in pass protection, and stud receiver Brandon Cooks dealt with concussion woes and wasn't productive when on the field. The Rams finished 9-7 and missed out on the postseason for the first time under head coach Sean McVay. But Goff's ridiculous contract has put the Rams in a salary cap bind, and they were forced to let several key players go. Gurley was released, and Cooks was traded to the Houston Texans. The Rams also had to bid farewell to key defensive contributors Dante Fowler Jr. and Corey Littleton. With Wade Phillips gone as defensive coordinator, the Rams D can expect to take a step back. It all comes down to how Goff can perform with the Rams. We've seen other quarterbacks do plenty with worse supporting casts, so no excuses. Goff has to prove that he's worthy of the $134 million that the Rams gave him, even behind a lackluster O-line without Gurley, and with a merely average defense to help out. If Goff regresses again in 2020, do not be surprised if the Rams start thinking about pursuing a new quarterback. Number 3, Baker Mayfield. The first overall pick from 2018 blew away the NFL in his rookie year, tossing 27 touchdown passes, the most ever for a first-year quarterback. The hype surrounding Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns went through the roof in the 2019 offseason, especially after they traded for Pro Bowl wideout Odell Beckham Jr. Mayfield looked poised to take the next step with OBJ, Jarvis Landry, and Nick Chubb as his offensive weapons. But Murphy's Law hit the Browns in 2019, big time. From questionable officiating calls, to OBJ's injury woes, to Freddie Kitchens' horrendous coaching, to Myles Garrett's ugly helmet-swinging incident, it was simply a humiliating season for the Browns. Mayfield's arrogance, media clashes, and refusal to admit his shortcomings did not help out one bit, and also his excessive Hulu commercials just really got annoying. Browns fans can only hope he won't be the next Johnny Manziel, a guy who doesn't take his job seriously and just assumes that success will come naturally. Again, the Hulu commercials probably didn't help. No more excuses for Mayfield. OBJ is healthy. Most importantly, they have a new and much more qualified head coach in Kevin Stefanski, plus a retooled O-line that consists of free agent pickup Jack Conklin and rookie first-round pick Jedrick Wills. The Browns also added 2 shiny new tight ends to complement their already stacked receiving core in Pro Bowler Austin Hooper and rookie Harrison Bryant. All right, Baker, time to put up or shut up. You have Stefanski, a brand new O-line, plenty of star pass catchers, and a backfield that includes Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. If the Browns flop again in 2020, do not be surprised if they too begin to eye a different different quarterback in 2021. Mayfield was chosen to be the next franchise star. Now he has to go out there and become the guy once and for all. Number 2, Derek Carr. In a way, it's surprising that the Las Vegas Raiders have been loyal to Carr for this long. Through his first 6 seasons, Carr compiled a lowly 39-55 quarterback record. His Raiders have had 5 losing seasons, making the playoffs just once in 2016. Carr's numbers have been solid in 2019. He completed 70.4% of his passes for 4,054 yards and 21 touchdowns, against 8 interceptions. But when John Gruden and Mike Mayock signed Marcus Mariota to a 2-year, $17.6 million contract this offseason, they were clearly sending a message to Carr that it's a make-or-break year for him. Like Mayfield, Carr is out of excuses. The Raiders drafted Henry Ruggs and signed future Hall of Fame tight end Jason Witten to complement an already impressive set of weapons that includes Darren Waller, Josh Jacobs, and Tyrell Williams. Carr now has 2 quality tight ends, a pair of big-time playmaking receivers, and one of the NFL's best running backs. If he can turn it around, Gruden will happily give Mariota a look, and Carr will be done in Vegas after the season. It's truly now or never territory for Carr. Playoffs or bust, lifetime Raider or not, it's all up to him. Number 1, Mitch Trubisky. This one requires a little explanation. In case you forgot, the Bears traded up to snag Trubisky 2nd overall in 2017, passing on future superstars Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. Yikes. Trubisky's stat line through his first 3 seasons doesn't look awful. A 23-18 record, a 63.4 completion percentage, and 48 touchdowns against 29 interceptions. But the problem is, he's merely average at best. And the Bears didn't take him 2nd overall to be average. Yes, the Bears won the NFC North in 2018 with a 12-4 record. But come on, that was because they had the league's best rushing defense and a superb rushing game. Trubisky was simply a game manager at that time. When the Bears' D and rushing game regressed in 2019, Trubisky simply couldn't elevate his play. He only had 17 touchdowns against 10 picks on the year. Trubisky had 8 games where he threw for under 200 passing yards. And there were another 2 contests where he had 208 passing yards. Simply inexcusable in today's NFL. The Bears, by the way, traded for Jacksonville Jaguars quarterback and Super Bowl 52 MVP Nick Foles. They made the move because they were desperate to push Trubisky once and for all. One bad outing by Trubisky, and the job will go to Foles. And if Foles can't hold down the fort, the Bears will find a new starter in 2021. For Trubisky, 2020 could simply determine if he's a starting quarterback for the long run or if he's a career backup. Other than that, no pressure, Mitch. Which other quarterbacks have a lot to prove in 2020? Join me in the comment section below. Make sure to follow myself and TPS on social media. We post great content all the time. YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We're on everything. TPS posts great memes all the time. And then I post videos on my YouTube, TikTok, and everything as well, so go follow us. If you like this video, give it a like. It takes 1 click down below, and subscribe to TPS. We post videos every day. Every day is a new video. Of course, thank you so much for watching. I'm Jason Biondo. See you next time.
My knee.